At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to a prince who had made his palace incredibly beautiful. He used to host grand feasts in his palace, inviting beautiful young women. One night, however, a massive storm strikes, and an old woman seeks shelter in the prince's palace. The old woman appeared unattractive due to her age. She approached the prince and offered him a rose as a gift. Seeing this, the prince laughed and thought the old woman was in a miserable state and not pleasing to look at. He mocked her and insulted her severely, even throwing away the flower she had given him. The old woman tried to explain to the prince that true beauty lies in a person's heart, not in their appearance. However, the prince refused to listen. Suddenly, the old woman transformed into a stunningly beautiful lady. She was actually an enchantress who had disguised herself as an old woman to test the prince's heart. Now that she had seen the prince had no love or kindness in his heart, she became furious and cast a spell on him, turning him into a beast. The prince fell to his knees, pleading with her not to do this. But his words had no effect, and the enchantress completed her spell. Because of this magical curse, the people of the kingdom gradually began to forget about the prince. It was then revealed that the flower the enchantress had given him was no ordinary flower, but a magical one. The curse would only be lifted if the prince fell in love with someone, and that person loved him back before the last petal of the enchanted rose fell. If no one loved the prince before the final petal fell, he would remain a beast forever and never return to his human form. Years passed, but no one ever set foot in the palace. A few days later, the story shifts to a nearby village where we are introduced to a girl named Belle. Belle loved reading books and was fascinated by learning about different stories and people. Her father was an inventor. In the same village lived a man named Gaston who wanted to marry Belle. However, Belle had no interest in him, as Gaston was an arrogant and vain man. Gaston kept trying to win Belle's heart, but all his efforts failed. One day, Belle's father had to travel through the forest to reach a destination. However, he found that his usual path was blocked due to a fire, so he decided to take a shortcut through the woods. He rode his horse, but soon he heard the howling of wolves, who then began chasing him. In an attempt to save his life, he fled and eventually arrived at the beast's palace. When Belle's father entered the palace, he found no one there. However, he noticed that the candles were lit and delicious food was placed on the dining table, which made it seem like someone lived there. Tempted by the food, he began eating. Suddenly, he witnessed something shocking. The cup in front of him started talking. Belle's father thought it was a ghost trying to scare him, so he declared that he was not afraid and tried to run away. But the real mystery was, how was the cup speaking? In reality, all the objects in the palace had once been human, but due to the enchantress's curse, they had been turned into household items. While fleeing, Belle's father reached the palace garden, where he saw many beautiful flowers. Remembering that Belle had asked for a flower, he plucked one. However, just then, the beast appeared. Enraged that the man had stolen a flower, the beast took him as a prisoner. Meanwhile, the father's horse escaped and ran back home. When Belle sees that the horse has returned alone without her father, she immediately realizes that he must be in trouble. Without wasting any time, she mounts the horse and sets off in search of him. The horse takes her straight to the palace, where her father had been imprisoned. As Belle enters the palace, she finds no one around. She calls out, but no one responds. Though she can hear voices, she sees no one. Eventually, she reaches the place where her father is being held captive. Her father hurriedly tells her that the entire palace is alive and warns her to escape as soon as possible before the beast sees her. He explains that he was imprisoned for plucking a flower, which he had taken for Belle. Before Belle can escape, the beast appears. She is terrified and startled by his monstrous appearance, but she hides her fear. Belle demands to see her father, but the beast refuses. She accuses him of being cruel for punishing someone so harshly over a mere flower, even though she was the one who had asked for it. The beast coldly tells her that once the door is opened and closed, it will never open again. He then opens the door, allowing Belle to enter and meet her father. However, instead of leaving with him, she pushes her father outside and shuts the door behind her, sacrificing herself in his place. Since the door cannot be opened again, the beast has no choice but to let her father go. Now, Belle is the one imprisoned in the palace. After the beast leaves, a clock and a candlestick approach her. These were once human beings, but had been transformed into objects due to the enchantress's curse. Despite their appearance, they could walk, laugh, and behave just like humans. They open the door and invite Belle to come with them, assuring her that she will be given a proper room to stay in. They believe that she might be the one to break the curse and free them all. When the beast learns that Belle has been given a room, he becomes furious and scolds the clock and the candlestick. However, they insist that she could be the key to breaking the curse. They tell him that he must impress her and make her fall in love with him. The beast becomes even angrier and asks if they have lost their minds. He refuses to stoop so low as to invite a thief's daughter to dinner. But after much persuasion, he reluctantly agrees, knowing that he is ultimately responsible for the curse. The beast approaches Belle and asks her to have dinner with him, but he makes it clear that it is not a request. Belle, in disbelief, responds angrily, pointing out that he first imprisoned her father, then took her captive, and now expects her to have dinner with him. Enraged, the beast pounds on the door and yells that she will eat with him, no matter what. Belle, unfazed, declares that she would rather starve than dine with him. Furious, the beast threatens that if she refuses, she will never be given any food and will die of hunger. When Belle still does not open the door, he storms off. Seeing Belle stand up to the beast with such confidence, the enchanted objects, including the candlestick, clock, and teacup, become even more convinced that she is the one who will break the curse. Meanwhile, the beast goes to the enchanted rose, only to see that many petals have already fallen. He knows that once the last petal falls, he will remain a beast forever. The beast was destined to remain in his monstrous form forever, and all the enchanted objects in the palace would stay as they were, eventually becoming completely lifeless. Only a few petals remained on the enchanted rose, and they too were on the verge of falling. Meanwhile, Belle's father had returned to his village. He desperately tried to convince the people that his daughter was in grave danger, trapped in a palace near the forest with a terrifying beast. However, no one believed him. They dismissed his words as a mere fantasy. Gaston, who wished to marry Belle, saw this as an opportunity to impress her father. He pretended to believe him and offered to go with him to rescue Belle. Gaston and his companion accompanied Belle's father through the forest, attempting to find the palace. However, the path that had once led him there was nowhere to be found. Frustrated, Gaston accused Belle's father of losing his mind and insisted that no beast existed. He then revealed his true intentions, declaring that he loved Belle and would marry her. When Belle's father refused to allow it, Gaston became furious. He tied up Belle's father and abandoned him beneath a tree in a wolf-infested area, leaving him to die. Fortunately, A woman named Agathe, who had been cast out of the village, found Belle's father and saved his life. She untied him and set him free. Back at the palace, Belle found herself drawn to the enchanted rose. Just as she was about to touch it, the beast appeared, his voice thundering with anger and desperation. He warned her that she had no idea what she was about to do, that if she had touched the rose, they all would have been doomed. Furious and overwhelmed, the beast yelled at her to leave. Frightened and upset, Belle fled from the palace, mounting her horse and riding into the forest. However, as she rode through the dark woods, a pack of wolves surrounded her. Just as they were about to attack, the beast arrived. He fought fiercely, battling the wolves with all his strength. Eventually, he managed to drive them away, but not without sustaining serious injuries. Belle was about to continue on her way when she noticed the beast collapsing to the ground, too weak to move. She hesitated for a moment, but then realized that he had saved her life, giving her a second chance. Moved by his sacrifice, she turned back. Kneeling beside him, she told him that she couldn't lift him and that he would have to get up on his own. Summoning his remaining strength, the beast struggled to his feet. Belle helped him onto her horse and took him back to the palace. When they arrived, the enchanted objects were overjoyed to see Belle return. They wanted her to stay because they believed that if she and the beast fell in love, the curse would finally be broken. However, they didn't reveal the full truth to her. They only told her that once the last petal of the rose fell, they would all remain as they were forever, and the beast would never regain his human form. Belle tended to the beast's wounds, carefully bandaging him. As she sat beside him, she began reading aloud a poem. To her surprise, the beast recited the next lines from memory. Stunned, Belle asked if he read poetry often. The beast admitted that while he wasn't fond of love stories, he had read many books and knew a great deal about poetry. Hearing this, Belle smiled and said that she loved romance stories and poetry. The beast smirked and replied that it was obvious just by looking at her. He then added that if she truly loved reading, she should read something worthwhile. With that, he led her to his vast library, one of the grandest collections of books Belle had ever seen. Belle was astonished to see the enormous library filled with countless books. She was overjoyed because, in her village, she had never had access to so many books to read. The beast then told her that she was welcome to stay if she wished, which made Belle even happier. As time passed, Belle and the beast began to spend more time together. They developed a close friendship, learning more about each other. They shared meals, and the beast even sang for Belle. One day, the beast showed her a magical book, explaining that a sorceress had gifted it to him. This book had the power to transport them through time. Belle expressed her desire to revisit the last time she saw her mother. Using the book, she traveled to that moment and discovered the heartbreaking truth. Her mother had been suffering from a deadly infection. To protect Belle from falling ill, her mother had asked her father to take her away forever. Learning this filled Belle with sorrow, as she had never known the real reason behind their departure. After this revelation, she and the beast returned to the present. Meanwhile, Lumiere, the enchanted candelabra, encouraged the beast to confess his love for Belle. However, the beast doubted that she could ever love him. Despite his hesitation, Lumiere and the other enchanted objects insisted that he should at least try. They helped prepare the beast and Belle for a special evening. Since Belle loved to dance, they arranged for the two to share a magical dance together. Meanwhile, Belle's father had returned to the village and was telling everyone about how Gaston had left him tied up in the forest to be eaten by wolves. Agathe supported his claim, but Gaston quickly dismissed her words, reminding the villagers that she had been exiled from the village. Gaston's companion also lied in his support, convincing the villagers that Belle's father was insane. They began to believe that he was possessed or had lost his mind, so they captured him. Back at the palace, Belle and the Beast were dancing together and enjoying each other's company. The Beast confessed that his father had taught him how to dance. When he asked Belle if she missed her father, she admitted that she missed him deeply. The Beast then revealed a magical mirror that could show any person they wished to see. Belle used it and was shocked to see that the villagers had captured her father. Panicked, she knew she had to save him. Understanding her distress, the Beast told her that her father needed her and that she should go to him. As a token, he gave her the enchanted mirror and told her that if she ever missed him, she could look at his reflection in the mirror. With that, Belle hurriedly left the palace to rescue her father, leaving the Beast behind. The Beast, now alone, realized how much he missed Belle. He had truly fallen in love with her, and with her gone, the curse would remain forever. The enchanted objects in the palace were also heartbroken, knowing that they were doomed to stay cursed. When Belle arrived in the village, she saw her father being held captive. She pleaded with the villagers, insisting that everything he had said was true. She told them about the palace and the Beast that lived there. However, they refused to believe her. To prove her words, she used the enchanted mirror to show them the Beast. The villagers were stunned to see the Beast through the mirror. However, Belle assured them that he was not dangerous. She told them that the Beast had a kind heart and had never harmed anyone, nor did he intend to. Gaston realized that Belle had fallen in love with the Beast, which made him jealous. In his rage, he manipulated the villagers, claiming that the Beast had cast a dark spell on Belle, making her speak in his favor. He convinced the villagers that both Belle and her father should be imprisoned, and that they must march to the castle to kill the Beast before he could come to their village and destroy them all. The villagers, believing Gaston's lies, gathered weapons and torches and stormed toward the castle. Upon reaching the palace, they were met with fierce resistance from the enchanted objects. The animated furniture, dishes, and decorations fought back, confusing and terrifying the villagers, who had never seen such a thing before. Meanwhile, Gaston made his way to the Beast. At this time, the Beast was in a deep state of sorrow. Ever since Belle had left, he had lost all motivation and had no will to fight. Gaston found him standing at the top of the castle, staring into the distance, lost in thought. He mocked the Beast, telling him that Belle could never love a monster like him. He then claimed that Belle had betrayed him and had sent the villagers to destroy him. Before the Beast could respond, Gaston shot him with an arrow, causing him to fall. However, the Beast managed to grab onto the edge of the terrace, hanging on for his life. Just as Gaston prepared to finish him off, Belle arrived and stopped him. She grabbed Gaston's arm and tried to pull him away from the Beast. During the struggle, Gaston lost his footing and fell from the high terrace. His gun slipped from his hand, and he desperately tried to climb back up. Belle then turned to the Beast, telling him that she had tried to stop the villagers, but they wouldn't listen. Hearing Belle's voice gave the Beast a newfound strength. He climbed back up and turned to face Gaston, grabbing him by the throat. Gaston begged for his life, pleading with the Beast not to kill him. Instead of taking revenge, the Beast told him, "I am not a beast," and let him go. Gaston, relieved, ran away. However, in an act of betrayal, Gaston took advantage of the moment and shot the Beast again from behind. This time, the beast lost his balance and fell. But at the same moment, the ground beneath Gaston crumbled, and he plummeted from the castle to his death. The beast lay on the ground, gravely wounded. Belle ran to him, tears streaming down her face. She held his hand and promised that she would never leave him again. The beast, with his final breaths, told her that his time had come. Belle refused to believe it, assuring him that everything would be okay. But just then, the last petal of the enchanted rose fell, and the castle fell into complete silence. The once enchanted objects turned lifeless, and the beast stopped breathing. Overcome with sorrow, Belle broke down in tears and finally confessed her love for him. She whispered, "I love you," hoping that it wasn't too late. At that moment, Agathe, the beggar woman who had been cast out of the village, revealed her true identity. She was the enchantress who had cursed the beast. Seeing that Belle had fallen in love with him despite his appearance, she lifted the curse. A golden light surrounded the beast, and before Belle's eyes, he transformed into a handsome prince. Belle was overjoyed, unable to believe what she was seeing. As the magic spread throughout the castle, all the enchanted objects turned back into their human forms. The once doomed palace was filled with joy and laughter as everyone celebrated their return to normal. Belle and the prince danced together, surrounded by their friends and the people of the castle. Happiness filled the air as they shared a moment of pure love. And with that, the story reached its happy ending. Make sure to subscribe to Film Reveal Decoder and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you have a favorite movie you'd like us to explain next, type "next" in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.